I can't tell you for certain that it's always that way because there's a
Yeah.
lot of times I'm doing great in day trading and swinging's killing it too. Hey everyone, I have a special one-on-one call with Stuart. He's a new trader about a year and a half in, and he drills me with tons of questions. So you're going to enjoy this, and we share some screens near the end. So make sure to stay to the end. Take care.
All right. So I typed out some questions. First one would be, what steps do you take when you're adapting and you start to see changes in the environment? What's your process for, what do you notice? And then what's your process for adapting to that change?
That's something that I'm always working on, to be honest with you. It's like something that it used to take me a long time to notice. You know, at first it would take months and I'll just go through a drawdown.
Right.
And then it took like a month. Now what happens, it'll take like a week, which isn't fast by any means, but you know, it takes me about a week to kind of be like, okay, I might notice it on day 2, day 3, but I probably won't do anything like until about a week. And then I'll be like, okay, well, the moves aren't really giving me the full range like they used to. So 2 things either happen. Either I downsize and try to adjust how I take profits. Maybe that's the problem. Usually that's the problem. Like the range starts to change. So I'll have to adjust my size to get used to this and then take profits a little sooner. But currently what I've been doing too is actually just switching. Like I'll say, okay, what setup is working? Like what's working really well? In this case, let's say it's like, cause I swing trade too. I'd be like, swing trading is killing it. So let me focus all my focus here for a little bit. And I'll trade small over here. Like I'll downsize, or I maybe even paper trade a little bit over here until I start to see things like clicking again. And then I'll switch back, because what I'd rather do is not lose money when things aren't really working. Cause I don't know about you, but there are times when I just suck. You know, there's times where things aren't just working. Like the setup is not there. And if it's not there, then I'm getting better at discipline to focus on process more and more, which is why I preach so much that, okay, part of my process is trading my setup. If my setup's not there, then me forcing it is making me lose money, which is the wrong thing to do anyway. So why not just not trade it? Or if I can't scratch, you know, if I need to scratch something, let me scratch a paper. You know what I'm saying? And then let me trade my real account focused on swinging only. So that's what I'll do. Cause like swinging, it's unique. Like there's a lot of times when swinging's doing great and day trading is not, and then vice versa. So like I've noticed that in my trading. So that's when I'll kind of adjust focus.
Do you think they contradict each other, or when one is hot, the other one's not? And then like this summer from like May to September, I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure anything out, and like nothing was working. I was like, I wonder if swing trading would be the way to go during these times when like things are kind of going like the opposite of what they should be going, you know?
Yeah.
In the opposite direction. It's like, but stocks are still moving. It's like, I wonder if swing trading would be like a better option during this time.
I can't tell you for certain that it's always that way, because there's a lot of times I'm doing great in day trading and swinging's killing it too. You know, but I'm keeping, since I do both, I'm always aware of both. You know what I'm saying? So when one's like, I'm like, yo, like Walmart's killing it. Like I was swinging that and I'm like, but my day trading's sucking right now. Why don't I just focus more over here for a little bit until I start to see my setups work more? And then I'll start to go back. Cause you'll notice like there's one, at least in small cap land, there's like one trigger that can light everything on fire again and everything starts working again. And you never know when that is until it happens. Like DWAC, when DWAC came back, all of a sudden my subs were just like boom, 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 boom. You know, like, but then before that, it was kind of like chop, chop, chop. So like, you know, everyone's setup is different. Everyone trades well in different environments. I know for me, now it's in my environment. You know what I'm saying? Like earlier in the summer, man, it was hard for me. I mean, I know there's a lot of episodes where I'm interviewing people and some of mine are real late when it's just me, but there's an episode in there where I was talking about how I just went through a fucking hell because it was just tough. So like I focused on swing trading. And
Right.
swing trading did really well because I was like, if I'm doing well here, what I don't want to do, what I used to do is just keep the same size I do well on going through hell. and then you just take big steps back. And so I just don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
You don't know. You don't. Yeah, definitely. But you don't notice like a seesaw, like you were saying during the summer. Your swinging was going great, but it's not typically like that. Like
I'm not tenure enough to say that. I'm
Right, yeah.
not 10 years in. I'm not. From my experience, all I can say is there's not enough data points for me to even be like, yeah, it's for sure. Because I can also argue that there's days or months where both are great. And then there's some months where day trading is not great and neither is swinging. Like there's no positions, like I don't see anything, and day trading is just like blah, so I'm just saying, like, I'm watching it all the time, that if I notice one's doing really well, why don't I just focus there for a little bit when I'm struggling over here? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see here.
What about you? What are you currently doing?
I don't have any swings on because I don't know enough about it and I don't want to risk my cash. And right now I've noticed low floats are doing really well. So I'm just kind of shifting my focus right there and for now. I work as a nurse. I'm an RN. So
Cool, man.
So sometimes I have to, I got to work. I got to go to work. So my platform I was using was Stocks to Trade. And they wanted like a large number for me to continue my subscription. I just kind of deleted it. And so I think I'm going to switch over to FinViz and their monthly subscription. So really what I've been trying to figure out their platform right now for free, the screener and everything like that, and kind of figuring out my daily process. Yesterday, I had an awesome day. I just like executed. I've had probably like 4 or 5 trades and I just executed I was comfortable. Like I started in small, like it went against me. I wasn't even worried about it. You know what I mean? And then it came back and I saw it. It was just beautiful. And I think I prepared the night before my process. And this is another thing I want to discuss with you. My process yesterday was like picture perfect in my mind anyway. So I prepared the night before. The morning I got up, I was in front of my computer by 8:30. I kind of revamped my plan according to what I saw in the morning. I looked at sectors. I took note of the sectors of the stocks that were running so I could see what's moving. And then I executed the trades. I did one pre-market. It didn't really work out. Eventually it did, but I impulsively sold or covered anyway. And then, so I executed those trades. Then I was done. Then I started reading technical analysis on multiple time frames. I went back in at 3:00 on OD. What was it? 2 days. I didn't trade today. I traded yesterday. What was it? It was OLB.
Mm-hmm.
I ran yesterday. I executed that one. I sold or I covered too soon, but whatever. And then I did a trade review. I did my trade journal. What's that Radical Renewal? What's that guy's name that wrote Radical Renewal? It's on his website. It's free. You interviewed him.
Radical Renewal?
Yeah, he's like a trading psychologist and he's a trader himself.
Brett Steenberger?
That's it.
Yeah.
So I did what I did positively.
Yes.
Went through my mind. So I did all that with the trading journal, and then I didn't prepare for the next day because I didn't trade today. I had 2 doctor's appointments. So that was like my picture perfect day. What would your picture perfect day in the life of like a day trader? Yeah. What's your picture perfect? Like everything went great. I did all my entire process. What does that look like?
So today, pretty much, I woke up. So you want the whole day, or do you like, what do you want? Like just the trading, or do you want to know what I do to prepare, even if it has nothing to do with trading? You know what I'm saying?
even if it has nothing to do with trading. Like I don't need to know like the trades, but like your daily process of.
So every day, dude, I literally go to the gym first thing in the morning because that really helps me. And I get a quick workout in, come home, drink coffee, and check out my swings. And from there, I immediately, have breakfast, talk to the wife. And because I wake up early, I wake up early just because I like to be up way in advance to where I can enjoy my morning with my wife, go to the gym, do all that stuff, and be done for things like this, And after that,
what time do you wake up?
I wake up at 4:30 on the days I lift. I wake up at 5:30 on the days I run.
Wow.
And it's because I'm only going to run 30 minutes. I'm not going to lift an hour, run an hour. Sometimes I do. Like I ran an hour today after the close, but that's, I'll just change it up. But more times than not, like 90% of the time, every day, 4:30, 5:30, 4:30, 5:30. It's Monday, Tuesday. It just switches off and on. And I get to my computer before I get to my computer at 7:00 my time, I'm Central Time, which is 8:00 market time. I meditate for 10, 15, or 20, depending on how I feel. So most of the time it's 15 minutes. And then I go to my computer at 7:30 because after that 15 minutes from 7 to 7:15, I'll still talk to the wife. We'll talk about things. Then 7:30, I go to my computer and that gives me an hour of prep time. Okay. I don't prep the day before personally. I just don't do that. But I need an hour, I want an hour of prep time. So I look at everything that's running from yesterday, because I have my watch list, remember everything I was watching, and I weed it out. Like whatever it looks like shit, like whatever I don't give two craps about, I'm weeding out. Like, I don't care if it's the hottest thing in the world. If I don't like it, I'm deleting it. So I delete out all the stuff that I don't care about. And then I add from big percent gainers what I like, and big percent losers, what I like. And I add it to my watch list. So my watch list would be like 15 stocks, and then I go over every single stock and I look on the big time frames first. I look at every single one. And I'm just basically at this point in my career, I just click on it and look at it real quick. And if it doesn't catch my eye, like I won't really do much. If it catches my eye, I'm drawing my support and resistance lines right away, like on the daily timeframes. And I do that right away. And then after that, I'll zoom in to like every time frame, dude. I look at every single time frame. That's just me. Everyone's different, but I look at every single time frame. So if you're going to question me and be like, do you look at the 10, 15, 30? Yes, I look at every single one, but I hone in, like really focus on the 10, the 15, and the 5. Okay. But I get the big picture from the hourly, the 4 hour, the 1 hour, huge. Like it's so important to me. And then the 30-minute really helps me, along with the daily, of course, gives me a really good idea of where everyone's at and where the, momentum is. Are we on the backside, front? It gives me a really good idea. And then I use the smaller time frames like the 15, the 10, and the 5 to hone in on the last 3 days, 4 days, something like that. Now I'm trying to figure out what is the most recent action. What is that telling me compared to the big picture, right? And if both of those line up and tell me the same story, well, I'm feeling really good. Like I'm like, okay, because I don't want to see the big picture say bullish and then the last 3 days it looks fucking bearish. Like I don't want to see that. Like you can trade that. I just don't want to see that. Yeah. And so I want confluence. I want things to line up. And so when I see things lining up, I then come to the 5 minute and 1 minute for that day. Okay. So now I already know it. Let's say OCGN is a stock I traded today. I lined it up and everything to me looked like backsides today. And so and at first it looked bullish. Daily, it looked bullish. Hourly, it looked bullish. But if you look on the intraday and then you look at the daily, and then you look at the hourly, you'll see it just hyper extended. And then yesterday, it kind of did an exhaustion move, which is a really good signal for me. I avoided that day, but it was a really good signal where I'm like, okay, tomorrow might be the day. And so, you do this long enough, you start to pick up on those things. And then, right. And then today, pre-market, what did it do? It exhausted everything out pre-market and then started to tank. So that told me that this might be the day, right? So I'm looking at big picture at first it looked bullish, but then you got to put it in the context. Where did it come from? What did it just do yesterday? So yeah, sure. I might see, I don't need to go into this detail. Sorry. I'm just doing it. Okay, cool.
Right, man.
So I'm like, if I see that the daily's a strong higher lows, higher highs, so it's showing me very bullish, but then I see that yesterday it just tanked and it hasn't done that at all and bounced. That could be a sign of weakness, a little chink in the armor. So I would pay attention to that. Doesn't mean it's bearish. Doesn't mean it's bearish, but I'm paying attention. I'm like, okay, it's still bullish. We're still in the upward trend. We're still strong. So now what does the 1 minute and 5 minute tell me today? And I compare that from yesterday because that's the most recent action. And I'm just trying to get a feel of what's happening right now. And what I saw, if I remember, this is off memory, it spiked up and then it faded. And so I'm thinking we squeezed the shorts because everyone was shorting yesterday because they had that crack. So they're shorting the pop and they're thinking it's dead. When in fact, they got squeezed into after hours and pre-market. And then it started to fade. So I thought maybe the buying power is not really there anymore. And we're just squeezing shorts because we were very extended from like $6 to like 15 or 16. Right. So at that moment, I didn't short it at all. But instead, I had a plan. I said, you know what? I'm going to keep this on my radar. And my goal is I want to see it tell me that it's for sure the backside. So I have an idea, right? I don't know where my entry is going to be yet. I mean, ideally, if it popped up to high a day pre-market, maybe, but I probably wouldn't do that because it's still showing me bullish big picture, right? So I'm keeping an eye. So many times I got lost in the day, intraday, that I would probably short if it did, and then maybe it kept going because big picture is still bullish, right? Yeah. So big picture overrules more times than not every time, but more times than not overrules the intraday.
Yeah.
And so when I saw it at the open, it did its thing, but it wasn't until like, I don't know if it was like 30 minutes after the open, but it like cracked 16, bounced up to 16 and then failed.
I was just going to say, were you looking at 16 as your main level?
Yes. So when 16 failed, I wasn't even shorting it yet. I just saw that and I was like, okay, big picture was still bullish because it was still bullish at that time. However, intraday, we're showing that key levels from yesterday are important. And so because they told me that, like I say but it told me that, I felt confident to short those pops against 16 and just wrote it down to 12 or whatever that. So like, that's pretty much what I did, but I was sitting there waiting. Right. And I'm like waiting for that to tell me. And if it didn't do it, like if it just held 16 or if it broke 16, then broke back above, I probably wouldn't have touched it. I probably wouldn't have touched it, but I was anticipating at that moment, since we held 16, we're going to break the main trend, which it did break it later. And then it just failed from there. So did that give you kind of an idea? Does that answer the question?
Yeah. No, that's great. I hear, that aligns with what Nate talks about a lot, right? Like breaking that key level, hitting it again, and then, fading off.
He loves follow through. Yeah.
Right. And I feel like that's more of a mature move within trading. Right now where I'm at, I've been trading for about a year and a month or so, and I'm a little bit more risky, which, is probably not good. Like what you did was like beautiful. I shorted OCGN yesterday and it was successful, but not like what you're talking about today. Like that was like really, really clean, like a nice clean move.
Okay, cool. I got it. OCGN yesterday was a good short too. I just didn't touch it.
Yeah. And I got it like at 9, I'm looking at it right now at like 9:44 from like 15:48 to 14:70. That's when I shorted, you know what I mean? It wasn't like anything amazing.
Yeah. I don't mind sharing. Do you want me to show you this just real quick, or are you good? Do you understand?
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. I'm looking at
cool.
the chart
right,
and,
cool.
It's pretty clear.
But that was all based off of big picture, and then paying attention to what it's telling me intraday. And the main reason my signal was the hard rejection of 16. That told me the odds are now stacked in my favor that we're probably going to crack today. because you look at yesterday and then look at today, there's no buying. It just died. And then try to buy, right? There was trying to buy, but what happened? Selling. So I was like, okay, this is not like yesterday in terms of yesterday was definitely an indication that the buying is done. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Like it bounced back, but it didn't excel above 16.
Right. Right. Exactly. And yesterday, dude, anytime you see us, not every time, okay? Like here's the hardest thing with trading is that nothing is black and white.
Yeah.
And that's tough because like, I don't know about a nurse, like as nurses or doctors, but I know in my life, everything I did, and this made it very hard for me. Like, that's why it took me 3.5 years just to even get things going. I was so, it's either this or that. Right. And I used to trade, like back in the day, I would short OCGN on a day where it just goes parabolic. I'll just short it because I'm like, it's up too high, like it's up so much because I'm thinking big picture, it's up so much, it should come down, but I'm not paying attention to all the time frames that, oh my God, like every time it does this, it creates higher lows and just keeps going. Like you look at OCGN on the big time frames and you'll see so many times where you think it's dying and just, nope, we're going to go higher. We're going to go higher until it breaks that main trend. So you could also wait for that when it broke that main trend, because if you waited for that, then you're golden.
Yeah. Nice, man. So when your trading is done, it's 4 or 3 Central Time.
Yeah, 3. Yep.
So what do you do afterwards? Like you do a trade journal and things like that?
Yeah. So I upload my trades into Evernote. And while I'm trading, I'm typing in my plan already. So that way I don't have to like do more. I don't know about you, but for me, like I don't like spending a lot of time anymore after I'm done trading. So I like to do it all while I'm trading. So like while I'm trading, I'm typing what I'm doing, what my thoughts are, my emotions. And then at the end of the day, all I have to do, because I type in everything throughout the trade, is take a picture of the snapshot of my trades and executions. And then I put it into Evernote. And then I'll look at my lessons tab and I'll type in there anything I can do better. So like if I'm like, you know what, maybe I could have sized him more here on OCG, something like that. Like, or maybe I traded like shit and I could have done this better. Like, so like I'll always have a lessons tab to kind of show me how I can improve on this trade the next time. And sometimes I never fill that in. I mean, but sometimes I do, like, especially when I take losses. So that's pretty much what I do.
Cool. I had a question in my head. I'll probably think of it again.
Are you good? So you're short selling, right?
I do both. Like buying has been working really great as well, but I have a setup that I really, really like. I ran spreadsheets on it for like a long time for it's first red day.
Yeah. That's OCGN, first red day today.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I thought yesterday was going to be the first red day.
Yeah.
And it went, it worked out in my favor, but it was not what I thought. So the statistic that I came up with, on every stock that I put in, there's a 92% chance if it goes green 3 days in a row and runs into resistance on the daily chart, there's a 92% chance it's going to go red the next day. It doesn't mean it's going to stay red, but it will go red.
Cool.
So, I'm always on the lookout for that. And so those typically only the time I'll take a short, unless it's just failing drastically. It's like 2 or 3 p.m. and it's been failing all day. Maybe I'll take a small short. But other than that, I'll typically go for a buy. Like if it's second red day, I'm usually too slow to catch a first red day.
You mean green day, right?
I'm sorry, green day. Yeah.
I understand. That strategy you talked about just now is the one I focused on for my first full year of consistency. And I shorted that. That was like my bread and butter, dude. And that's why it was today. It's my bread and butter play. And the only challenge with that setup for me, I don't know about you, everyone's different, but for me was that there were some months I only placed 5 trades because I only traded that. And so if So that I don't know why I'm sharing that, but I just brought that up. So there you go.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what the point of that is, but just
Yeah,
know
no,
that
that's
like
good, man.
just know like you got to be disciplined and wait for that setup. You know what I'm saying? Like pretty much is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So I will take a buy if I see like a second green day. If I'm fast enough to catch a first green day, I'll buy after I see a big ramp up in the morning. But those are my two strategies. Parabolic. If something goes parabolic, I'm starting to get to where I just don't mess with it. It's just for me, where I'm trading now, it's just too unpredictable. I'm not experienced enough, I guess.
No, I think that's smart. I think the only reason I'm in a parabolic move is because I'm long and I'm already in it. Like I'm in it a long time ago, and it goes parabolic. And if I'm shorting, I can't tell you the last time I shorted a parabolic, like while it's parabolic. I can't tell you, like, because for me, I just know that the edge, like, I just don't like it. Like, I just don't like it. Like, everyone's different. Some people love it, but for me, it's just never equated to profits for me. Like, it's never equated to consistency. Like, it's fun when you nail it, but it's not fun whenever you don't nail it and it keeps going and you got to cut and you try it again. You got to cut and you try it again. And then you finally just make back what you lost. And then you're just frustrated and then you're just irritated. And then what do? You miss a great setup later because of how you feel today. So it's just, I just started to realize like, I'm trying to trade setups that are so easy for me. And easy is a term that is relative to every trader. Like, but it's just, you want to trade something that when you see it, like when I saw OCGN today, I was like, all right, I'm excited, but I don't know. But then when I saw it did that thing, it was like literally like as if someone lit a fire on my butt and just was like, oh, like it's time. When you get that feeling, that's when you know it's your setup.
Right. Like Tim Sykes talks about, like coming out of retirement and like,
yeah, that's a great point.
I'd be dumb not to take this trade.
That's a very good point. Like just waiting to not like come into the market with the idea, which is so hard, man. Like it's so, maybe when you work full time, it's maybe I would say it could be easier, but when I worked full time at a job, it made it harder because I was just trying to get out. So like, but it could be so hard, but it's so important. Like if you can come to the market, and I don't do this every day, but that's my goal. If you can come to the market, I forgot to mention this until you brought it up. So every time I sit down, I'm thinking to myself, and I have notes in front of me too, but like I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to trade. Like I'm trying to think that way because the more I think that way, the less I'm looking for something. Because like if you search, that's why I said like I look real quick at each ticker on the daily. And if it doesn't catch my eye, I don't care. But if I look at a ticker and it doesn't catch my eye, but I stay staring at it, I guarantee you I'll probably trade it. But the ones that kind of hit you are the ones you should be paying attention to. And I think it's important to know for every trader, including yourself, is because that feeling comes to you because your own memory, what you've seen that when you sit at your desk every day is what you're familiar with. And what you're familiar with is what you're going to be good at. So like you need to like pay attention to those signals if maybe you do already, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's something I'm working because I'm brand new, I don't want not brand new, but in the grand, like,
I get it. Yeah.
Brand new. It's like, if I see something, it's like, I know there's an opportunity here. Let me find that opportunity. I'm still in that stage.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm starting to creep out of it, I guess. And like your book is like, or not your book, but Brian Shannon's book has really helped me out.
It's a great book. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe it. I'm only 36 pages in and it's like, it's changed a lot, man. How I look at everything.
How you see technicals. I love it. It's a good book.
Right. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, over trading is like a big issue. Not enormous. I take such small size. Like I'll trade like 10 shares.
Yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
At this point, don't sweat net. Don't sweat anything. Like who gives, like, don't query, like just focus on getting down what you need to get down. Because once you get that down, then all you got to do is slowly size up, and then you'll just start to grow. So like, don't sweat that. Like that's smart. Like you want to do that. I wish I did that. I did the opposite. Like I risked stupid money because I had good money, and I was just thinking, who cares? I can make this money back. And it was the worst way to think. So you want to do the other way. Risk $10. Like Bryce Toohey, a friend of mine, did way better than me now. But he when he was struggling, he was like, what do I need to do? And we would talk every day. And I would say, dude, just risk like $1. And he started to risk $3 to make $9. And I was like, and now he's killing it.
Yeah. Wow. Let me see what questions I have here. What screening tool do you use, and what are the different variables that you take into consideration?
I don't use, so I was actually talking to a buddy today about that. I don't use any screening tools. The only thing I have is on Dash Trader Pro. It shows me the big percent gainers, right? It shows me what's the big percent gainers on NASDAQ and NYSE. And then, so I do use a website that shows me the big percent gainers as well. I just compare them, and it shows me the big percent losers there. And that's what I do. I don't have a scanner. Like I don't have like criteria. I just look at that. And then I look at every chart that has at least 1 million shares traded. And then I go ahead and evaluate and see what I want to trade, if I want to trade anything. But I'm considering getting a scanner now for my swing trading, because I don't even scan for swings. I swing big companies. I swing real companies. I swing Walmart, Disney, Facebook. I swing those. So I'm like, I just know the companies. So I just look them up and see if they had look like a good chart, and I trade them. But I'm starting to realize I'm missing out on some good swings because I don't scan. So I'm considering looking at a scanner. I don't do one now.
Okay. Okay, so everybody knows about holiday trading, and it's like a good time to be trading. Is that consistent with what you know and what you?
What do you mean? What do you mean holiday trading?
I've just heard for the most part every year around the holidays, November, December, January,
it gets hot.
The best months to trade in the year.
So it gets hot for sure. But what I have found is when you said holidays, I thought about half days. Like the days that the market's only open half days are for me, are my worst days. I now have a rule to like probably not trade at all or downsize completely, to where it doesn't matter if I win or lose, because everyone's different. But for me, I don't know why, but if it's a half day or a day before a national holiday where they close the market, or when bonds are closed, I tend to do poorly. I don't know what it is, but I just do. I have enough data to know that I do, so everyone's different, but in general, like the months, if that's what you mean, the holiday months, yes, they're on fire.
Okay. All right. I was going to talk to you about, like, last year, I worked a ton as a nurse, and I missed like the best trading times, like December, January, February, 2020. I missed those, or was it 21? Because I was working full time. And then when I got back, I was like, dude, that was the absolute worst time I could choose to like go full time, or work tons of overtime and stuff. But I just wanted to ask you that if that's like a consistent thing during the year.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And I used to, now that I'm I'm on my 4th year, I'm starting to recognize that summertime is just not for most people. For most people, summertime is not the best time to trade. Like it's choppier. It's just different price action. It's just not the same.
Yeah.
It's different. So I know some traders who freaking murder it during that time, but I know a lot of them who don't, and they just take the whole time off. So, everything's depending on you. But I just know for me, so far, I don't do too well in the summertime. I'll tread water, maybe I'll make a little bit, lose a little bit. It's just is what it is. But I'm working on that. So I'm hoping over time I can be better, where I know some traders who murder it. Like they clean up shop in the summertime.
Yeah.
And you don't hear about them because they're not people selling, they're working. They're making things happen. So that's why the trading is so unique, man. It's so, there is no, like I said, it's not black and white.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any promotion emails that you receive, or how do you spot promotions?
No, I don't. And what do you mean promotions? Do you mean like pumpers?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I mean, I don't have any emails coming to me from any promoters, and I don't seek out promoters. Although recently, for the first time, I was joking with a buddy because I was like, man, like every time this quote unquote person says something, he's just pumping stocks. Like he's not a trader. Like I'm like, this is annoying. I was like, and I'm tired of seeing this. And so I was like, you know what? Next time this guy says something, I'm going to check it out and I may buy it. But I'm going to buy it with my mentality of actually trading. And so I have planned stuff, and I did that and did really well on it. And I was like, maybe there's something here. Because I know some people who are traders who will watch people who say things and just trade against them or trade with them, but they're not following. It's a weird balance, because what you don't want to do is follow people, because you're not a trader. You're not, and you're just a sheep, and you're just gonna do terrible. But I swung it. I'm a swing trader too. So like I was like, ooh, this looks like a good swing setup. I didn't trade it just because someone said something. It was an experiment. I was having fun. Let me just be clear with you. I was just having fun. And I was like, you know what? I like the setup big picture. I'm going to buy some and we'll see what happens. And then it just rocketed like 3 days later. And I was like, all right, cool. And took my profits and I was out. But I don't do that. That was one time in my entire trading career have I done that. And do I plan to continue to do that? Right now, no. But like if I see something and it matches on my setup, I'll trade it for sure. I'll freaking trade it. But I'm not a seeker of that.
Do you know any names like on Twitter of like known promoters that maybe other people that you know follow?
I don't want to pump. I don't want to promote pumpers. So no, I'm just gonna be real with you. I'm not gonna do that because I don't like that. I hate it.
All right.
But you can find it. Just go on Twitter, dude. You'll find it instantly. Like it. Just type in any ticker that's moving right now, and just see who's talking about it constantly, and there you go. And just make sure they have a big following. There you go. Like that's who's doing it.
Right. Fair enough.
And then check if it's a low float. And then I guarantee you, check their Twitter feed, and every stock they talk about is a low float. They're just full of shit.
All right. Are there any other books? We talked about Radical Renewal by Steinberg.
Yeah, I didn't know that book, but I know Brett Steenbarger.
Yeah, he mentioned it in your interview. It's on his blog.
Oh, it's his blog. His blog.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's a book or a blog? Because his book is Trading Coach, Daily Trading Coach.
Right. So his is a blog. It's on his website. You just click on it, and it's got chapters.
Gotcha.
It reads like a book, but it's on his blog.
I probably have read a little bit of it, but it doesn't ring a bell. But
very spiritual. It's very spiritual.
Oh yeah. I do remember that. I don't think I read it all, but I have read some of it.
Yeah. Are there any other books that like technical analysis, like that one's really changed my outlook? Are there any other ones that you would recommend?
Volume price analysis, 100%. If you haven't read that, you better read that. Volume price analysis by Anna Cooling. Dude, great book. You combine that with technical analysis, you're golden.
Cool. Okay. Do you mind opening up? You use DOS, right?
I use Thinkorswim for charts.
Okay. Do you mind looking at F-Cell on the first pre-market?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me open up the software.
Yep. Wait, was it the first or this? Yeah, I think it was the second, actually. Yeah, it was the second.
All right. Share my screen. All right. Can you see?
I can, yes.
All right. What date?
So the first was the first or the third green day, like we talked about going into resistance.
Right.
So I was looking for the first red day, right?
Okay.
I have found that there's always a big pump around 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. pre-market,
Okay.
which is exactly what happened on the second at 8. And then it kind of kept going. I just kind of want your opinion on the analysis of this. So I started in on the second at 8:07.
Yeah. All right. 1 second. Let me go to the 1 minute.
Sure.
8:07. What time zone are you? Market time?
Market time, yeah.
Oh, is you starting way over here? Short or long?
Let me see your screen. Yeah, that's where I started in short. Okay.
Okay.
Where's and so I use 10 as my risk. I just want to know your opinion of my thought process on this.
Okay.
So I was going to use 10 as my stop.
Okay.
So it blows through 10 and it looks strong, right?
Yeah, it definitely does. I'm just making a picture
of
this so I can track it with you.
Yeah. Okay. And so it blows through 10 and it's holding. So I'm like, well, give it a little room to breathe, whatever.
Oh, you're still in it?
I'm still in it, yeah.
But you just said it blew through your risk.
It did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
All right. So, all right. That's one problem right there, brother. That's one problem right there, bro.
All right.
Go ahead. Continue. Go ahead.
All right. So it looks strong and it blew through 10. I was like, yeah, I'll use like 10:15 where it shot up to. It blew through that. And then it started to like fade off. So I added to my position at around 8:47.
Okay.
So it started to drop, and then it started to curl back around 9.
Right.
And that's, I was like, just hold on to it. Like it should go a little bit above 10:35 because people are going to get squeezed. And it did. And it like came back down. I'm still in this position. I haven't covered it all. And then I said to myself at about 9:10, I was like, okay, so it blew through your first stop. Looks strong. It blew through your second one. It still looks strong. Like, what's the right thing to do here? So I just covered. And then like 6 minutes later, it falls apart drastically. So, I mean, I guess you answered my question already. It blew through your stop. That's your problem.
Yeah.
But like, how do you like
go ahead and ask your question first.
I was going to say, I put in my trade journal, like it's only a half, like, yeah, it blew through your stop, what, 10 cents, 15 cents, like 10's a major number. You got to give it a little bit more room, like 40 cents, you know what I mean? For slippage. And it's only a half hour of the day. Like you've got the whole day still. So I was trying to remind myself to be more patient and like, just.
So why were you patient when it's going against you, but not patient when it's going for you then?
Because I had a conversation with myself and I said,
because you either were breaking some rules and you knew you shouldn't have been doing that. And so you're like, I got to get out because I don't want this to be worse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I just wanted to maintain discipline. Like, dude, like you're doing the wrong thing. It went against you. It's still looking strong. And yeah, and then it felt like my plan was correct. Like my analysis was correct, but I like
your timing was off. But your analysis is right, which is the hardest thing in trading. So like I like your idea, but I don't like the trade. Like, like if I'm first off, like if you short here and you're risking here, did you size your position for here or did you size your position for 1050?
I sized my position in case it went all the way to, in case it went all the way to 12.
Oh, so you had baby size then.
So I had plenty of size. Yeah, I had plenty of room.
Oh, so, okay. So that was part of your plan. So this wasn't your stop.
I'm sorry. Like whenever I do it, I place an initial stop, but I'm sized in for which is probably, thank you for bringing this up. I mean, I have like 2 stops in mind.
So, okay, so this is not your stop. This is just an area of interest for you. So you want to take a position just in case, but you're sized in for 12. So therefore,
Exactly.
even if it fails, you can add, but if it pops through, you can withstand because your loss is really $12 and not $10.50.
Right. Exactly.
So if that was your plan, then okay. So then I'm okay with that. Like if in your head, you're like, you know what, I'm going to take a piece here and I'll let it ride out. I'll take another piece. But if it gets over 12, I'm out. Like it doesn't matter what happens. So when you add it here, did you add here and you're still risking, your 1R for 12?
You know what? I mean, now that we're going through it like this, I had 2 ideas in mind and I didn't really choose one. Like I was sized in for 12, but I kept 10 in mind. I was like, I guess 12 was my hard stop, but 10 was like, if it goes past this, So really, I mean, going through it now, my trade plan was.
It seems like it needs a little bit of work on the trade plan, just because the idea, like your big picture, was there.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, I mean, you do get that pullback.
Right.
For me, this is still holding. Like I didn't touch FSL because I saw this, but I didn't touch it. Not saying it's a bad trade at all, because obviously it worked, and also I see this as a setup. I get it, but if your plan is 12, then what I'm going to be doing is maybe I'll take a piece. Maybe I'll take a piece right here, but I'm sizing in. Let's say you're risking $100, so I'm risking to 12, but I'm not going to take a $400 risk at 980 to 12 because then you can't add if it keeps going up. So I may take, let's say, $25 risk up to 12. So that means, let's just say you got in 980 and it's to 12. I don't care what numbers are, but let's just say it's 10. What is that? Let's just say it's 10 shares. And then it pops up and you think, hey, this might be the end. Maybe you think that, but at this moment, I probably wouldn't add because I would be seeing this. I'd be like, this thing's pretty strong still. Like it's still showing me that we're creating higher lows. We broke out and we're above 10. Like, yeah, I don't know if I'd add yet, but I'd probably want this level to show me that it's not going to hold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because now we have structure. You know what I'm saying? We have structure forming to where if I add here, it's probably, for me, not you, but for me, it's emotional. Like if I add here, I'm anticipating that I'm right with no signal, right? But if I add here, let me explain this part. This is a little different. If I add here after a high day attempt and rejection, if I add anywhere right here, at least now I have a weak high attempt and some kind of signal. I have a almost a bullish engulfing candle, almost, not really, but you have a weak high day break. Okay. This is something I used to watch all the time when I trade pre-market. It's not guaranteed, but the last 30 minutes of pre-market, I loved it. But if it did on this setup, if it did this, I'd be like, oh, I'll take a position. So I'll take a position here and add to it. And then not only that, but now we have more data, right? We have more data. So I might add here or I might wait for this, because now if this cracks, oh, dude, I'm adding and I'm risking right here. And I'm like, you know what? At this point, if it breaks above here, I'm wrong. Like I'm dead. Like I'm just wrong. Because now we have big picture, because you have your data. Then you have intraday pre-market working, and you already try to do a weak break. That's one sign. We have a crack of a temporary trend. That's not the best trend line. It's definitely not. But then not only that, once you get in here and you start to see this nice candle, and then we get a curl. At that point, when this breaks, I'm probably going to add even a lot more to all my size risking there, because I might have taken half size because I'm still thinking, let me just be careful because it is pre-market. But I'd take full size here, risking here 40 cents, and then it drops to 9. So you're in at 10 average probably, and it drops 9. You make $1. It's not the best risk reward, which is probably why I like for 3 to 1 minimum. And you could risk here and make her tighter, but then that involves a whole nother set of problems of too tight of risk. So it all depends on how you play. But for me, that's how I would see this if I did trade it. But to be clear, it's not my setup for me. So I just wouldn't have traded it. But if I would, that's how I would do it if I had your plan in mind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
Because you just
So
want to
really,
wait. Like, I like the idea. Just why get out? Like, it's working for you now. Like, you held through all of that. Like, and your idea was 12. Like, I wouldn't have gotten out if that was, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Now,
No,
if it
right.
broke above here, then I can understand. You're like, you know what? I don't think it's working. Like, okay, cool. I get it. But here, it's now working.
Yeah. So my analysis of my technical analysis, one, I was probably watching too many other stocks. I was like, oh, it's strong. It broke 10. Let me move on instead of like sticking with it.
Yeah.
And my trade plan was a little bit flawed because I had two different ideas in mind.
It's okay to have two ideas, man. But you just need to keep in mind, like, you just need to, like, if you have two ideas, you just need to make sure you have a thorough plan. You know, like on how you're going to execute those same ideas. If either you're choosing to do both ideas at the exact same trade and you have a plan for that, or you have two ideas, you're going to do two different trades and cut one if it doesn't work and then get back in later. Like, you need to have that thought out, because if not, if you're just kind of like, I don't know which one, but I have two plans, then once you get in the trade, I'm sorry, but like most people, and maybe not you, but for sure still me, like a lot of traders, even the ones who are great, every decision, most of the plans you create after being in the trade is an emotional decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an emotional plan, which is clear, like so clear, because you got out when it's working, and that was just emotional because you'd held when it wasn't working. You know what I'm saying? So like, you're like, oh, finally, it's going my direction. Let me just get out. You know what I'm saying? Do you feel me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Does anything else you want to talk about this one?
No, that's it. I guess my last and final question: if you were me, or you could go back to your 1 year trading, experience self, what advice would you give?
It would be trade paper. It would be for me. It would be for me. Or real small like you are. But I would probably do paper. And I would tell myself to trade everything that I want as a paper account and track every single one of those and name every single one of them and give them a name. And I don't care what you call it, just name it something and make sure you do that for like a month, 2 months, and then you'll have tons of data of different types of trades, but you're tracking every single one. And then therefore, at the end of a month, you can go back and go like, okay, which ones are working right now? And then be like, oh, these 3 out of 10 are working. Let me focus here. And then do that the next month, focus there. And then what you'll notice is when you start to hone in, which you probably noticed with the one you're honing in on, is that you start to understand the intricacies of each setup within itself and how it can change throughout time and how it can make different changes, but overall still work. And so like you can learn how that happens and start to adapt and get better at it. And then if you have 3 and you keep doing that and you're like, oh, I'm still doing consistent with this, then you can switch to your real account and then start trading it. Because the only reason we trade small account, a real account small, and I'm guilty of this 100%, is for me, not the only reason, but for me, I can only tell you what my reason was. I really don't know, other than the fact that I think it's because I don't want to trade a paper account. I didn't want to. I just thought a paper account that's for someone who's scared. But the actuality is, if you trade a paper account, which I have done, and I don't explain to you, I did it recently too, is that you get the freedom to explore and trade as long as you trade it right. And you're not like getting a trade with a kind of a plan and then letting it go against you and say, I'll just kind of like, no, you have a plan, you stick to it, you take your lumps every time, and then you learn how to make your plan better. But, and it's like F-Cell, if you were paper trading that and your plan was to cut at 10 and you didn't because it's paper, like I'll just see, because I think I'm going to be right, then you are going to be a terrible trader in the long run if you keep doing that, right? Which you didn't do that. I'm just saying, like, don't think that way. I'm saying take it seriously. And if you can't take it seriously, go trade real account with 1% risk for just like 3 trades, and learn how it feels. And then take that feeling into your paper trading. And when you trade, remember that feeling when so you can take it seriously, and then move forward. That's what I would have done. And I probably wouldn't have listened to that advice, but I'm hoping if it was me telling me, I would have listened to it. But that's what I would have done. I think it would have greatly improved my trading quicker, because instead of me trading all types of stuff for real money, losing a lot of money, and then finally seeing what worked, and then honing in on that, and then being consistent, but then scared to branch out because I didn't want to branch out with real money and try new things because I'm doing well here. You know what I'm saying? And then when I finally branched out, I used real money, real size, like the same size I did well on, which is the worst thing you could do. I'm just basically sharing my mistakes, and lost more money over here. And that just is the recipe for disaster. So like, it's better to just do the other way, man. Like if you're right, it doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't matter if you're right now trading small, and it doesn't matter if you're right now trading paper, and it doesn't matter if you're wrong trading small, other than, you're slowly going to baby slowly, like it doesn't matter. But why not matter at all when you lose, but you can get good lessons. And then you can actually, let's say you have a 30K account, but you're being smart and you're trading like $20 risk. Instead of doing that, I just talked to a buddy about this because he's a newer trader. He's doing really well. He's not consistent yet, but he's doing really well in terms of like, he's only been like a year in, almost a year. And he's like way ahead. I think he's going to be great. But I told him, I was like, you know what? Just stop risking money. Just go to paper and just trade it for real. And what's going to happen is trade it with 1% or 0.5%. So if he has a 30K account, instead of risking $50, $20 on your paper, your real account, go to paper and risk 150 and learn how to trade with that size, and learn how to scale, and learn how to take different entries and manipulate your size. And so that way you can see how well you do. And then when you have confidence after a couple of months, you go to your real account, and you can maybe not start right away at 150, but maybe start at like 75 and then increase it to 125, 150, but you'll already be used to the routine. And that is what I think I wish I would have done, which is now what I'm making my friend do, because I care about him and I want him to be successful. So I'm like, bro, like, you don't want to do what I did, you don't, because I was ignorant. I was egotistic. I thought this was going to be easy. And I think that's why it's taken me so freaking long, and I say that with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how long it takes anybody, because everyone has their own story, their own journey. I know a buddy who's been trading for 10 years. It took him 10 years to find consistency. And I didn't know that until recently. And I never would have thought that, because he's a monster. So like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'll take his skills right now. I don't care if it takes me 10 years, I'll take it right now. So it doesn't matter how long it takes you. I'm just saying, I wish I would have done it this way, because I think it also would have prevented a lot of PTSD in trading, which is when you take a lot of big lumps and that's all you're thinking about, instead of thinking about getting better and working on progress.
Awesome, man. Cool.
No, that was a great question, dude. That was a great question.
Yeah. Great, man. All right, man. Well, dude, I love your channel.
Thanks,
I watch your videos all the time. You're changing my life. You're changing the way I trade. And,
thanks, bro. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Well, look, man, stay in touch. And I don't know if you go on Twitter or Instagram, but just hit me up on there. Just say, hey, it's Stuart. We just talked. Just let me know how you're doing. And I mean, I can't reply all the time, but I try. And it's always good to stay in touch with people I talk to. So thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, man. No worries.